All right, class, so we're gonna do the last one, which is data uh, input and output. So in this one, we're gonna practice actually how to be able to extract data from a CSV file, from a SQL file, from an HTML file. So this is a good practice, right? Because remember, it's all about the data. We don't have the data, we can't do anything about it, right? So we learned about tools, how to manage some of the data, how to fill in some of the missing data, or remove it if we need to remove it, or autofill it with a mean value, which is most of the time what we do. But now that we need to, now it's time for us to know how can we actually extract the data from a different website or a SQL or a file that we have stored in our computer. And that's the purpose of this file, of this section. So make sure for this one, make sure that you click on download for data input output. Save it on your computer. Also Excel, Excel file and this example file as well. Okay, so I'm gonna go over here, and right now you probably are located somewhere. Well, first of all, upload your notebook here, so you can see this page, 8 data input and output. Once you can see this, what we want to do is we want to be able to save some files in here so we can access them. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to files, and you probably look something like this. And what we want to do is we want to upload file storage, and then we're gonna go and upload those two. Actually, I'm gonna change the names. I'm gonna rename it because otherwise I don't think it's gonna read them correctly. So it's not gonna let me. We'll rename it somewhere else over there. Okay. So I'm gonna upload those two files, and I'm gonna rename it here. And then rename this one. And rename. Right. All right, so now we have everything that we need to be able to start this lab. So the first thing that we're going to do is, again, we're going to use Pandas to be able to extract some of this information. So let's start with import Numpy. We might need it, we might not. So let's import that. Import Pandas as PD and run it. And now what we're going to do is let's see how we can actually extract information from our example. Our example looks like this. You can see it just has information in a text file. And we're going to be able to extract that information and make it into a data frame. And the way we're going to do that is by using, again, Pandas. Read CSV file. So we're going to read from this CSV. CSV, what it means is it's a comma separated file. So it's kind of like an Excel, but it's everything separated by a comma. And so in this case, everything is separated by a comma. So we're just going to pass in the name of that file. So I'm going to do example. Sorry, I have to put in quotations example. And let's see if this works. And let's print. Let's see it. As you can see, we're able to access the information. This can give you suggestion charts, but you can see I was able to extract the information from here that is separated by commas and import it into my into my data frame. Notice that it takes the first row as my column names and everything else as my input values. Okay, so that is how you extract information. Very simple, very straightforward. If I want to save information to a CSV file, so what I do is I use my data frame to the as v file, and then I put the name of the file that I want to write to, that I want to save to. And in this case, I'm going to say index equals false. I gotta run all of them, sorry. Again, I have to run this one, run this one, and then run this one. All right. Then now what we can do here is, yeah. So now let's read from an Excel. This is to read from a comma separated text file, and now let's do it from an Excel file. If I want to read from an Excel file, basically it's the same thing. Is we're gonna do a pandas read from an Excel, and then we're gonna pass in the name of the Excel underscore sample dot xlsx, and we're gonna pass in another value for our argument, and we're gonna say we're just gonna look at sheet number 1. You know, because most Excels have multiple sheets, we're just gonna look at sheet number 1. And sheet name does not match. Okay, so the problem was that I was putting sheet name without space underneath, so they changed it, and so now it's sheet names with an underscore to emphasize what sheet, what page of the sheet on your Excel do you want to access. So sometimes you have multiple sheets. In this case, I want to access sheet number 1. If I want to access sheet number 1, I have to use sheet underscore name, and I can access the information about from that Excel. Okay, so just remember that it's sheet underscore name. I can see I can access every single element there information. And then the Excel output would be practically the same thing. And so it would be the same thing that we did before. PD to Excel, and it would be Excel underscore sample dot xlsx, and then I can specify what sheet I want to make a change to. So that's how you would, if I want to make any changes to. Oh, sorry, not PD. It's DF. Sorry, DF. Because now I'm sending information. I'm sending this value, this information. I'm storing this information to this Excel. So that's why. Sorry about that one. If I want to access a information from a HTML file, you might need to install XML HTML5 lib beautiful soup 4. Then restart Jupyter Notebook, or use your pip install if you're not using an icon distribution. Pandas can read tables tabs of HTML, for example. All right, so in order to be able to read from the from an HTML, we might need to install some of these tools, and the way we can do this is we can do pip install xlml pip install html5lib, and then pip install beautiful soup 4 install. I think it wants me to do it one at a time. So it's already there. And let's do the second one. Once you do it once, you don't have to do it again. It's already there. So that's why I don't think we needed to do it. But just in case you were having that trouble, let's install it. So this is how you would install it. Just gonna copy that and put it here. Probably, oh yeah, I misspelled it. That's why. And there you go. Okay, so just in case we needed to install those ones, we're just gonna take the precautions. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna be able to read from a bank, the FDIC website, and we're gonna look at all the banks that have failed. So here's the list of them, and we're gonna be able to read it. We're gonna scrap from this website information about this. And so what we're gonna be able to do is we're gonna use this tool from Pandas that allows us to be able to extract this information from here. So we learned how to do it with a CSV file and then an Excel sheet, and now we're gonna be able to extract it from a website. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna say df equals pd. We're gonna read from a HTML file, which is kind of cool that they all keep it the same, right? Read from a CSV file, read from an Excel, read from an HTML, right? So it's nice that it keeps it the same. We're gonna put the website that we want to scratch from. Oops. So I'm gonna take the link here. I'm gonna copy it because this is where my table is, and I'm gonna paste it here. And then I'm going to run it. And now I'm gonna see what my DF looks like. So this is all my data. You can see the bank name, city, state, circulation, acquiring institution, closing data, closing fund, right? So you can see that. That's the information that you have here. Bank name, city, state, certification, acquiring institution, closing date, fund. So all the information is being provided here. Now we can make it a little bit easier, and we can do .head, and that's going to give us that's interesting. It should be able to give us the information about it. Okay, let's try 0. Okay, so I think it's because it was given it was not, yeah. So it was something different what we had in our storage in the DFF. Okay. Anyways, so if we want to see what we have, right, we can see that by plugging the index 0, we're gonna be able to see one section. I think it's one page of our data of our files from information from this bank, and I think that's what it was. It has different pages, so that's why it was not being able to display correctly. And we can do that here. We can do head, and that gives us the top 5, and the top on the list, or tail, and that gives us the last 5 information that we have, right? So if we don't put anything, then that's going to give us everything. So we have all this information about the banks. Now that we are able to extract it, we can do whatever we want with it, right? We can check that it's clean, right? And do whatever we need to do. So we probably can see, we might be able to see that there's some columns. We only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we see 7 columns. Okay. We might have some non-applicable information, but for now we don't see it. Well, actually, we can do this. Describe. And let's do info. So this tells us that there's 567 entries, and from 0 to 566 there's no null value, which is good. So info gives us a lot of information about each column. So the first column is an object, so that's probably a string. String, because it's an object, this is an integer. String, and integer. So this is telling us that everything is clean. There's no missing data. Everything has an input value, which is good. All right, so this is another way of finding different information about your data. Okay, so we did CSV, Excel, HTML. Now let's do SQL. Actually, the for the SQL option part, we'll talk about it towards another time. So it feels like I'm gonna need some other tools and installations to be able to do this. So I'd rather not distract ourselves from installing a lot because we would have to go to a different tool that I don't wanna focus right now. So we'll move on to the SQL later on. Okay, for now we'll make it to the HTML, and then later on we'll talk about the SQL part. Okay, so this is the end of this part. So make sure that you click save, and then you print it as a PDF, save it, and that's what you're gonna submit in your Canvas. Okay, save it, and then now that you have all of them, there's an option for you to submit. Right now it's not visible because this is the